Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm Lucy, and I am doing our January training, the first training of our year, 2024. I have Maggie here with me today who will be helping to field the questions. And I thought today that I would just review a case that's actually on our website. It is, if you go on our website under tutorials, there's some cases listed there. And I've taken that case and I'm going to show you the case because what I want to do, my purpose here is to show you the comparison between a standard repertorization and using global search. So you can see the difference and how you can come up with a remedy, um, you know, just as efficiently, if possibly not more efficiently, with global search than you can with repertorizations. So I'll go ahead and I'll jump right in. I'm going to open the SHS program. All right, so the case is about, it's a 1-year-old boy who has a sudden puffiness of his right eyelid. Also below the eye, the lacrimal sac is puffy. So all the way around his eye, there's a huge amount of puffiness. He also cannot open that eye. And that's the case. So if we were to approach it from a repertorization standpoint, here I am in the complete repertory, and I'm going to go to the eye chapter, and I'm going to find, first I'll type on my keyboard LID and go to lids. And I want to find, it's on one side. So I'm going to go to the right eyelid and enter that on a clipboard by hitting the return or enter key. And then I also want to find, going to go back one step to eyes, and I want to find closed because the one eye is closed. So on my keyboard, I'm going to hit CLO and find closed right there. I moved my highlighting down one by using my down arrow. And I'm going to take closed. Now it does have subrubrics. You could look at them, but I'm just going to take closed to the clipboard. I also want swelling. I want to find swelling. So I'm going to put SWE in there, find swelling. And I'm going to actually go in. That's a large rubric, 471 remedies. So I'm going to use my right arrow to go into those sub rubrics, and I'm going to narrow it down by moving down to the rubric that's about the right eye swelling. All right. Actually, wait, I want to go even deeper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit lids here because it's all about the eyelids. And then I'm going to pick up right here. Okay, so that's going to go on the clipboard. And also, we talked about the lacrimal sac. You can use your left arrow to go back, but I'm actually going to use my mouse and show you how you can go backwards this way. Up in the breadcrumb string, I'm going to come over here and click on eyes, and that takes me back to the main eyes chapter. I'm out of swelling, out of lids. And here I'm going to look for lacrimal. Okay, there it is. And let's go in there and see. And I'm going to find sac. There we go. Put that on the clipboard. So I've got 4 rubrics. It's a short case. Let's see what we've got when we open up the clipboard. All right. So there we have it. We've got a half a dozen remedies where all the rubrics are covered. You can see there, starting with aconite, lachesis, nitric acid, phosphorus, natrium carbonicum, and so on. So what you could do here is, you could, if you know your remedies super well, you could decide, or you could go and review each one of these in the reference library and come to your decision once you've done that. So that's one way to approach this case. And now I'm going to show you, by the way, Maggie, are there any questions about what I did there?
Sorry, Lucy. No, not at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to put this same case up in global search. I just come up here, the clipboard can be open. I don't have to close things to access my global search window. And I'm going to put in, Now, the beautiful thing about Global Search Window is that you don't have to use rubric language. You can use your own language, what you've come up with, um, and see what comes up from that. Especially what I'm going to be doing is using the proximity language, which means that I won't even be finding rubrics. I'm going to be searching my entire materia medica with all these symptoms using the proximity language and my own, thoughts about the case, not having to use rubric language. So we're going to put in, and actually this is from the case on the website, so it's his thoughts too. Acute within 3 words of inflammation, within 3 words of lids, within 3 words of I want to make sure I spell it right, lacrimal sac, and maybe I'll go ahead and put a 3 there. In the same remedy, I'm hitting my space bar, in the same remedy as lids within 3 words of closed. Okay, so that is the search. I used on my keyboard the number 3 in order to put a space in there, because I want to give the program more room. I don't want them to just look for acute inflammation next to each other. I want to spread it out just to give myself, the more you spread it out, the more result you can get. So acute within 3 words of inflammation, within 3 words of lids, etc. In the same remedy as, meaning I'm looking for remedies that have both of those symptoms in them. So activating this search by hitting return on my keyboard. Oh, okay, 1 second. It worked for me last night. Let me just take out the 3 between. Let me just try this one more time. Sorry. Not sure what happened there. Let's try it again without lacrimal. Sorry about this, guys. So just the word sac was used in the case on the website. And lids. The reason I added lacrimal was that that would be something I would put in there, but I'm keeping it more simple. Okay, here we go. And there we go. So the word lacrimal kind of the program decided it didn't want to use that word. Maybe I spelled it differently. I don't know. But here we have the result. That is the result that's listed on the website. Aconite is the only remedy that comes up with these 2 symptoms. And, you can see that each line represents one of the 13 references. And when you come down here, sometimes indicated in acute inflammation of the lids or lacrimal sac. And you can click on that one time to get a little more information, a little blurb pops up, or you can click on it with a double click to take yourself to the reference library so that you can read it. You can see that it's highlighted here. And it comes from Norton's, I can't read that because of the Zoom bar being in the way, but an ophthalmology book, which is located, actually, it's in all of the editions. So anyone could have found this. All right, so are there any questions?
Yeah, I think you spelled lacrimal incorrectly. I think that's what happened.
Okay,
Lucy.
all right. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Let me try again. I'm just going to try it
If you hover, it will give you the spelling.
I had written it down the way it took it. Okay, does that look right, everybody? That's the way I wrote it down, that it worked. There it is. I don't know what I did. I even wrote it down and I could have sworn I spelled it that way, but I'll go back and look at the video. I probably did something wrong. Okay, so it did work with lacrimal, just as it did for me last night, thankfully. All right. Any other questions?
No, no.
No.
Also, somebody who's in as anonymous is saying, when I put the same info in the global search, I don't get any results. It could be because it's working off a different library.
It could be because it's working off of a different library. Yes.
And Heather is saying, when I try to enter this into the student version, it doesn't let me type the number 3. When I type it and then start typing the next word, the 3 disappears.
Are you putting a space after the 3? You can't put spaces. Try it again, type a word, the number, and another word without spaces. And Heather, let us know if that works for you.
And William is asking why global search only shows one remedy in the result, whereas the repertories are showing, I think they're showing more, are they?
Well, because when we use the proximity language, we only came to the reference library result. Once you put in the same remedy as up in global search window, you're only looking in your materia medica. And so, yes, you will have going through rubrics and repertories. We did have this larger, choice of remedies, and so it's really your preference. Maybe you want the large choice so that you can go and study each remedy in the reference library and come to your decision that way. What happened in global search, though, it honed in on one remedy immediately. And by the way, that remedy did work. If you go on our website and look at that case, you can see the pictures. It was pretty miraculous where the eye was so puffy. And I could show you the pictures if anyone wants me to, but the eye was extremely puffy. And I think it was within 12 hours that it had gone down significantly. So I can go to the website if anyone wants me to and show, or you can go to our website.
One thing, Lucy, that might be worth doing while you're there is taking those rubrics on that clipboard into elimination and looking at the graph, say, with the eye swelling, lids right, 37 remedies, saying that you want that to be there.
Mm-hmm. You could do that. So if I wanted to choose the swelling of the lids, maybe with the, lacrimal sac, if I did those 2, just to see what common remedies are in those 2, you can see actually, hold on just a second. By the way, if I have a rubric highlighted and I hit Command minus, it will go to the elimination. That's a keyboard shortcut. There it is. And so this would be if you just want to see all the remedies in that one rubric, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to close it right now. I'm going to combine it. I'm going to also take the lacrimal sac rubric up to elimination. Now we're looking at these 2, 8 crossed, 8 are common. You can see there in the window of elimination that comes up. I'm going to show that graph, and here these are. So between those 2 rubrics, we have 8 common remedies. So that's another way to do it. If you still have those main 6, but you've got a couple more you might want to consider if those are the 2 most important rubrics in your mind in the case. I hope that made sense to everybody. You can also click, hold, and drag a rubric to elimination, but I use the keyboard shortcut, Command or Control minus. Did that generate some questions?
No.
Okay. No questions right now?
No.
Okay. Well, let's see. I can cover navigation. I get a lot of questions about the navigation of reference library and repertory just to a smaller extent. So when you're in reference library, I'm just going to review how you navigate. You have the choice of looking for remedies or books. And right now I've got remedies ticked. So if I use this type to search window, I cannot type a book name. I must type a remedy name. Let's look for aconite. And I can put a period after it to come to that main one. you put in the abbreviation, you put a period, and then you come to the main aconite. There's so many more as you saw, but to narrow it down, you can just put that abbreviation with the period and you come to this one. Now, if I just click this, I was like, okay, that's the remedy I want. I can do that. Let me do that. And it comes up here in the Alan's Keynotes opens first because it is the first book in my list of books that have information about this remedy. But let's say we know what book we want. It isn't Alan's. And so I'm going to X out of that. To get to a book other than just the top one in your list, you have to move your highlighting down into the book list. So I'm going to open up that list by clicking on the plus sign. I'm going to move my arrow down. You see how the highlighting is now down into the books. And let's say I wanted to find information on aconite by Vermeulen. Well, I could certainly scroll all the way to the V's, or on my keyboard, now that the highlighting is in the books, I can type VERM and it pops me down to Vermeulen. And then, then I can click on Vermeulen. And once you've read everything that you want to read about aconite in this book, I have actually activated the right pane by scrolling in it. If I want a different book, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on Vermeulen again to get myself activated in the left pane. Now I can type another book name, MORR. Let's go see Morrison's Desktop Guide. Right, we're on Desktop Companion, which is highlighted. I can move my arrow down one, move my highlighting down with the down arrow. I also could have just clicked. It doesn't matter if you can hover your mouse and I can click on Morrison's Desktop Guide. I want to open it in a second tab, so I'm going to right click on a Mac. A right click is control click if you haven't set it up any other way, and you get messages open in a new window. And so you see Morrison's Desktop Guide about aconite and Vermeulen's are both here. And you do the very same thing in the books. So now I'm going to click over to the books. I'm going to go look for Morrison's. And so here it is. The desktop guide is at the bottom. And I'm going to open Morrison's book by clicking on the plus sign. What would happen if I didn't do that? Let's do it. Clicking on Morrison's Desktop Guide, it takes me to the very top of the book. See, it takes me to about the book. That's what comes up first. If you don't open the book and go into it yourself, you're taken to the very top of the book. And I don't want to be at the top of the book. What I want is, I want to go look for a remedy. I want to go look for Veratrum album. And so I'm going to move the highlighting off the book name into the remedies. Once I've done that, now I can type to search a remedy. But you have to be in the book, in the book. You can be on about this book too, but you have to be in the book in order for the 3-letter shortcut to work. So I'm going to go find Veratrum, VER, and here we are. It landed on Vereed, but I want album, and so I'm going to click that. You see. Any questions about that?
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right, that's navigation in the reference library, and now I'm going to pop over to the repertory module and just explain navigation here as well. On the left side, you have all your books. On the right side, I have the top book at my list open to the photo icons. I can come over here and set my view any which way I want. Right now, I've got no remedies. I've got no authors showing, no cross references. I've got my remedy count showing. All right. And it's best if you don't have the sub rubrics turned on. Let's go back into the I chapter. As you can see, I don't see remedies here. What I have are only rubrics, and some of them have plus signs. And so the plus sign means that this rubric contains sub rubrics. All right. And so I'm in the I chapter. Let's go look for swelling again. SWE, there it is. Move my arrow down, or I could just click on that. Swelling is a rubric that has sub-rubrics, so you can either double click it, but I'm a person who likes to use my keyboard, so I'm going to use the right directional arrow Now you can see swelling is up here at the top, and I'm in the sub rubrics of swelling. And I'll go into left, the one at the top there. All right, extending to the face, it's a rubric with just one remedy. I'm going to go backwards one step by hitting the left arrow now. I'm going to pop down to morning, and I'm going to go into the sub rubrics of morning by hitting my right arrow. Again, you can also double click if you like to do that. Here in the sub rubrics under eyes swelling in the morning, there's a rubric you can see, headache. It has sub rubrics. It has a 0 count on the remedies. So that means you would not be able to take this rubric to the clipboard, but you could go into it and pick up a sub rubric of it. So that's what I'm going to do. Right arrow. And so this is all about your eyes swelling in the morning, either after a headache or with a headache. And so if you wanted one of those, then you could certainly put it on the clipboard by hitting the return or enter key. We'll go ahead and do that.
What if I wanted to see the remedy there, Lucy, before I put it on the
Okay, very good question. You can hit the space bar. If you want to keep the remedy, sometimes there's more remedies than just those, just one. And if you wanted to keep it on without holding down the space bar, a keyboard shortcut is to hit shift space, shift space, shift space. Now the remedies are on, and you're not having to hold the space bar. And then to remove them again, I hit shift space bar. And again, if you just want to quickly look, you can just hold down the space bar and let it go. And then they're on and they're off.
Or I could do my eye icon.
What's that?
Or the eye icon.
Oh, certainly. You could come here. And now it takes a lot more clicks, but you can certainly come here and do this as well. And that's going to turn them on as well. Yes. Thank you, Maggie. I'm so used to the shortcuts that I forget about the long ways sometimes. Now, I've used the eye icon here in the chapter. And so when I X out of this chapter, let's go back to the photo icon page. I could go back one step at a time, left arrow, left arrow, left arrow, left arrow. Or I can just come up here to the breadcrumb string and I can click on the repertory name. You see when I roll my mouse, how it underlines, click it, and now I'm back here. And because I did not change the view here, I'm still not going to see remedies. I had changed the view in the one chapter, and that's why I could see remedies in that one chapter, but I did not change it for all the chapters. You would have to do that here on the photo icon page. Any questions about that?
No questions about that, Lucy, but there are questions about elimination. People would like if you could go back in, it's not really clear if you could go back in and explain elimination again.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this one out. So with elimination, sometimes this is a very small case, but sometimes you have more rubrics, but there's some rubrics in your case that have more importance. And what you want to do is make sure that you choose a remedy that's contained in those important to you rubrics. And so what I did was I said that I'm just saying for the sake of a demonstration here that the swelling of the lids, the swelling of the right lid is one of the most important rubrics. I want to make sure I pick up a remedy in that. Let's say that let's do a slightly differently this time. Let's say that we also think that the closed eyes, we want to be sure we pick up a remedy out of that rubric. So I've chosen those two that I think are the most important. This time I used the keyboard shortcut before where I hit Command minus to get it up there to the minus sign. And actually it's still there. Let me go ahead and delete so that I can show you again. Okay, so that's not there anymore. I could hit Command minus to get it back up there, but I'm going to click, hold, and drag. You can do that also once you have things highlighted. Open the window. And what this window shows you is it shows you the number of remedies that are crossed, that are contained in both of these rubrics. You can see here the number 14. So out of the 37 and the 157 remedies that are contained in these rubrics, there are 14 that are common to both of them. And so I want to make sure I pick up one of those if I consider these the two most important rubrics of the case. And to see them, I'm going to hit, you can click show and look at them this way, or you can also show a graph. And here they are. And you can see, you see how the numbers changed to 14 on the graph. That's because you have the filter placed. Those are the 14 crossed common remedies that float to the top now because you've put this filter on. When would I use the plus sign over here? When would I use elimination with a plus? That is good to use if you want to kind of play around. You're not sure what the top rubrics are. Let me take off this filter. And I'm going to click over into my clipboard and hit Command A to select them all. And I'm going to hit Command plus to put them all over on the plus side. And see, they all came in with a plus. Nothing's been crossed yet, because in order for it to cross, you have to turn that plus to a minus. And one reason to do this is if you want to kind of play around and say, well, let me see what these two crossed look like. Let me see what these two crossed look like. And so, for instance, if we cross by clicking on the plus sign to turn it minus, I've taken the lacrimal sac rubric, and I'm also picking the swelling of the right lids rubric. I've chosen those. And now you can see down here that changed where, okay, between those two, there are 8 common remedies. See, and you can show them by clicking here, and you can show a graph of them here. Now you could take this off and you could go back in to the plus sign of elimination. And you could say, well, let me see how it looks if I cross. I'm going to not cross with the lacrimal sac. I want to cross the swelling of the right lid with the closed. So I changed the lacrimal sac back to a plus. Now I'm turning the closed eye from a plus to a minus. Whenever you turn it from a plus to a minus, it always jumps to the bottom. And now you see those 14 again, because those are the two that we chose. Those are the two that we dragged up to the minus sign. So when you drag things to the minus sign, you know your rubrics and you're going up there and you're crossing, boom. When you drag things to the plus sign, that gives you a little playroom. You can switch them up and see how it changes. I hope that makes sense. Any questions?
None at the moment, Lucy.
Okay. So everybody who's attending our training knows everything about SHS and has no questions. This is your time, if you have a question, to ask me. You can always email and ask me, but this is a great time to ask during the training, so that a lot.
Jane says that was an excellent explanation, Lucy. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad it helped. So I'm going to have to think of some things to show you then. Maggie, any ideas? If nobody has questions, I can just review some things.
Maybe saving patient management.
That's a good idea. All right, so we have this clipboard, we have this clipboard, and what I'm going to do is I want to put this in a chart. Now, if it's a new patient, there's several ways to go about that. If it belongs to a patient that you've already created a chart for, I'm going to go ahead and show you. You would need to come up to patient management, view patients, or save to existing patients. Either one of these will get you to that same list of the patients that you've already created. But let's say that we want to create a new chart for this clipboard. I can either do it here, create new patient, or I can come over here to the left side on the icon, icon strip, and click here on the folder. And here's a chart ready for me to begin entering information. One's opened up for me. It's ready. It says patient tab. You can see here that I haven't saved anything. It always comes up patient tab when it's a new chart ready to go. And I'm going to put in a first name. Let's say test person. The first name has the asterisk. That's what you always have to enter. but I went ahead and put a last name as well. And let's say, you know, I want to put the date of birth in here. Let's say it's today's date, which is the 5th. And it's somebody who's born in 1969. And you can fill in anything you want here. The consultation date is down here a little further down. Let's say that we took this case yesterday. You can change that. All right. And you can fill in, you know, symptoms. You can type here. If maybe you can copy and paste from a Word document that you have about it. But you know, acute inflammation. You know, you can just type whatever you want. These boxes are for you to use in whichever way you want. Let's say that they tried, let's see, I think phosphorus was one of the ones before. Let's say they tried phosphorus before, maybe it didn't work. All these things you can fill in. But let's say that you decide you want to give aconite this time. There's also a place to put the remedies. Let's pretend like we forgot to put it for phosphorus. But anyway, aconite, and I'm going to give it 200. So you see that there's all kinds of places. This also is a good place. Here I can upload the photograph of the puffy eye. You know, if I wanted to click here and put that in this chart. So once you're ready, once you know you've got your clipboard ready to go and be saved, you've got all the information that you want in your chart, that's when you're ready to hit save. And it's here, and it's also up here. So either one, whichever one you want to hit, I'll go ahead and hit it here. When you hit save, you always get the clipboard window, because SHS wants to make sure that the correct clipboard is going into this chart. It's the only one we have to choose. I'm going to hit save. And once you've saved your clipboard, you get a consultation line that has the date and the time. It's European date, so it always has the day first in the month. And you can see here that aconite also shows up. So now this clipboard is saved to this chart. Let's say we're like, oh, wait a minute. I just remembered another rubric that I want to add to this clipboard. Whoops, what do I do? Come over here to repertory module. Let's say it's a mind symptom. Maybe the person is weepy. Weepy, tearful. I'm going to go into that and, you know, maybe pick up something a little smaller than the 600. Okay, just find anything. It doesn't really matter, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. Weeping about ailment, maybe. Ailments. So weeping, tearful mood about the ailment. So I'm going to add this to the clipboard by hitting return or enter. Now you can see that I've got 5 rubrics on that clipboard. Now, if I were to close my chart right now, that extra rubric would not show up. Why? Because I have not saved it again. So I need to go back to my chart. I'm clicking on the folder to go back to my chart. I don't want a second line because, you know, I just added the rubric because I had forgotten it. I wanted to, you know, add it in and see how I wanted to see how it played out for this time, this place and time, you know. It's not like a follow-up. It's here and now. I want it in this line. So I'm not going to save it as new because that would create a second consultation line, which I do not want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit update. I'm going to hit save. And now that extra rubric is saved to that clipboard. And I'm going to close this chart. I'm finished with it.
Sorry,
yes.
Lucy, before
yes.
you do that, Natalia's just asking, why does the date say the 4th of January when today is the 5th of January?
I changed it. I changed it earlier. When I was showing you guys how to fill this in. Okay. If you remember, I said, okay, let's pretend like we took the case yesterday, and I changed the date from the 5th to the 4th. That's why.
And if you were to save it as new, Oh, it says actually at the top there, Thursday, January the 4th, last updated Friday, January the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. I hope that answered your question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I'm going to close this chart. I'm just going to close that out. And when I do that, you can see that the clipboard goes away, because once you save a clipboard to a chart, when the chart closes, the clipboard disappears with it. But now here's how you find it again. You go back to patient management, you go view your patients. Here it is. I'm going to open it. And when you open a chart that you've already created, it always scrolls down to that consultation line. If you need to change anything else on the chart before you work with that consultation line, you can always scroll and change things, but just remember, you have to save it again once you make any changes. But let's open up this consultation line. I'm going to click on it. Here it is back again, and here is the clipboard with 5 rubrics.
Lucy, there's a question here from William about saving clipboards.
Mm-hmm.
He says, when I make a clipboard of my neighbor, I open a case to work in. There is a mix of clipboards, and I want to save my neighbor. I want to save my case. Sorry. My neighbor will be included, and I want to keep both separated.
And
so I think what he's saying is he's working on 2 separate clipboards for 2 separate clients or patients.
Mm-hmm. You know, I highly recommend that you work on one chart at a time. I've had so many people say to me, oh, you know, a clipboard went into the wrong chart. And my advice is don't open multiple charts at one time. That's my advice. But if you really want to, then you have to be careful. If you have multiple clipboards open from multiple charts down over there on the left side, I would recommend maybe that you name them. You can name them. So let's call this one I dash child. You can name them whatever you want. You know, if somebody has a name, you can actually put an actual name on a chart. Then when you hover your mouse on a clipboard, then you can see what it is. Because, you know, if you've got multiple clipboards, multiple charts open, it's so easy to get the wrong charts in the wrong clipboards in the wrong chart. But that, I think, did I answer your question, William?
Well, William has also written one with and Q without charge. Yeah, I don't actually understand what that comment is, so I'll just wait for William to come back in again.
Because, you know, when you hit update or save as new or save, you always get that clipboard window. And you have to be careful, because sometimes clipboards are pre-ticked. You know, if it's in an existing, if it was in that consultation line, if that clipboard was in that consultation line and you hit save for that or update or whatever, those ones that were in there are pre-ticked. And if you want only the new clipboard to go to the new consultation line, then you have to untick the old and only tick the new. So you have to just be very aware of which ones are ticked and what's over on the side. Anything else?
Yeah, there is a question. When on the repertory and sub-rubrics, and you want to return to one step previous, a step backwards, still in the same rubric, if I double click, it takes me to the beginning of the sub-rubric, not in the specific one. So I have to scroll down again to go to the sub-rubric I was looking for. I think you mentioned back arrows. Is that any different?
I'm trying to test it out myself here.
Yeah.
Going out to fear. I know that has a lot of sub-rubrics and sub-rubrics. Fear in the evening. Aggravates. So you're saying that once you get here, you're double clicking. Well, if you're ever here, you can use the to go back one step away from aggravate back to evening. You can either come up here to the breadcrumb string. I wouldn't recommend that you double click it here at this point. I would either come back up here to the breadcrumb string and click evening there, or I went back into aggravate, or hit your left arrow. And that takes you back the one step. Did that help? I'm going to come back to mind by coming up here to the breadcrumb string, and I'm going to find fear again. And so now I'm going to double click fear and see, you can double click to go in, but I don't think it works to double click to come out. But let me try it again. Let me go to evening, and I'm going to go into evening, and I'm going to double click. I'm going to see, you'd have to double click. Let me try double clicking fear up here in the breadcrumb string. Yeah, I think it's a good idea just to go forward to double click, but use your back arrow or use the breadcrumb string and just do a single click to go backwards. That's the best way to go backwards. And you can jump backwards with the breadcrumb string. You can go one step at a time with the left arrow. Did that clarify?
Yeah, I think so, Lucy.
Okay.
If you have any more questions on that, can you let us know, please?
And if there are any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay, it's a quiet group.
William is saying, sorry, he's the one who had the question about the clipboard, his neighbour's clipboard.
Yes.
And he's saying, I found the answer. I have to name the clipboard of the neighbour before opening an existing chart. Is that correct?
I think that would help. I think that would really help. I don't think you have to. I think that the naming isn't mandatory. Wait, so you're saying you have a clipboard that you've created, and then you go to open a chart, and then other clipboards appear because you've chosen a consultation line from that chart. And so, William, what are you wanting to do? Are you wanting to put the new clipboard into that chart with on a new date? If so, you would have to hit update as new, and then choose just the one, and untick the others. And then that one new clipboard will go into a consultation line with today's day, whatever date you choose, but it'll be a new line if you hit save as new.
Can you show again how you name the clipboard, Lucy?
Sure. I'm hovering my mouse over the clipboard and I'm right clicking. Right clicking is so important in SHS. I still do one-on-one trainings to this day, and so many people still don't know, especially on Macs, because with Macs, you typically don't right click. But still, people who use SHS don't know about right clicking, and it's so important. You right click to get menu options. And so for a Mac, it's control click, unless you've set it up a different way. For instance, I have a mouse connected to this laptop, and so I was able to right click my mouse. But if you don't, if you have a trackpad, control click for a Mac. And if you have a Windows machine, you know how to do it because Windows machines do right clicks very easily. So I got the menu and I click rename, and then you have to name it and hit OK. But there's so many right clicks. You right click to find rubric information. You right click to, if I had my remedies turned on, let's turn my remedies on in this chapter. You right click over a remedy to get information about the remedy or to jump to the reference library. See menu options. When you're in the clipboard, you right click over here on the rubrics in the clipboard to do some things. You right click over here in the remedies on the graph to do some things. In reference library, you can also right click to you can select some copy and right click to copy it. So you just really need to learn and use the right click function. And I did a short video about it up in our YouTube channel if you're wondering anything else about it. Okay, any other questions?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Well, I think we'll close there then. If nobody has any other questions or comments, we'll go ahead and close for the month. The next session will be with Rupali on February 2nd. And I hope everyone has a wonderful new year. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you again soon. Don't forget to write me if you have any lingering questions. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye.